Hi, this is Mary Beth Hartleb, the CEO of Prism HR Consulting. And throughout the month of March, I have the pleasure of interviewing some amazing, inspiring women in celebration of Women's History Month. This year, the theme for Women's History Month is providing healing and promoting hope. And it's a tribute to all the frontline workers during the pandemic, but also to women across all cultures who have provided hope and healing throughout history. Today, my guest is Erin Keller, and I'm excited to introduce her to you. She has spent 20 plus years fundraising, raising funds for worthy causes and focusing her time primarily in higher education. She is currently the Associate Vice President for Institutional Advancement at Nevada State College. Her role includes all private fundraising and alumni relations for the college, day-to-day oversight of the foundation, and leading the advancement team office, in addition to being a part of the college's leadership team. Prior to this position, she worked for the University of Nevada, Las Vegas for 9 years, 6 years as Director of Development for the Lee Business School. She worked for the College of Liberal Arts at UNLV and UNLV's Foundation's annual fund. Before relocating to Las Vegas, she worked at Bowling Green State University, the University of Akron, and Eastern Michigan University, as well as Junior Achievement of Stark County, Ohio. She is a native of Marion, Ohio, and graduated with a degree in journalism and public relations from Bowling Green State University in 2000, and completed her Master's of Organizational Leadership from Gonzaga University in 2013. She received the Florence and Jesse Currier Young Professional Award from Bowling Green University in 2011 and graduated from the Las Vegas Metro Chambers Leadership Las Vegas program in 2016. In addition, she volunteered as curriculum chair for the Leadership Las Vegas class of 2021. When she's not busy doing all that, you can find Erin listening to live music, watching her sons play Little League Baseball, or running. So welcome, Erin. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your time to speak with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So that is a lot and great accomplishments, but tell us a little bit more about your background and how you came into working in the university and the fundraising profession.
Thank you for having me. It's a joy to chat a little bit with you today. I found this industry by needing a part-time job in college. And this is a bit unusual. Most people fall into development or fundraising kind of after they've had another career. I didn't. I started at 18 years old calling alumni and asking for money as a part-time job. Became a student supervisor, and as I was graduating college, I realized while I loved my public relations background, I really wanted to interact with people. And so I fell into the next step, which was running a calling program. And then over time, the gift amounts, the ask amounts just got bigger, and the time it takes to ask just got a little longer, and grew into this role. And now being able to manage people to their best success for fundraising and alumni relations is really the joy. And so I still get to meet people and help their philanthropic dreams come true, but it's also so much fun to watch my team grow and thrive as well.
That's amazing. And that's kind of a linear career path, right? I mean, a lot of times it's not such a straight line, but it's wonderful that you found your passion early on in your career. So tell us more about what you're doing now and about Nevada State College.
Sure. Nevada State College is a 19-year-old public 4-year college in Henderson, Nevada. And we started because a group of community members wanted to find more teachers and nurses in our community. And so from that point until today, that's still our big mission, is to make sure that we can educate more future teachers and future nurses. But we've grown into a comprehensive university as well. We offer several different other majors and minors, and we are just under 8,000 students now. We are growing by leaps and bounds, even in the pandemic, and able to support and serve our community. We're very focused on making sure that our workforce here locally has the talent it needs. One thing, working in higher ed for so long, one of the things I love the most about Nevada State is our ability to adapt to the local workforce. So a few years ago, we really saw that data was becoming such a bigger piece of our local industry. We were able to very quickly create a data science major. So it's things like that that allow us to be a really great resource for our local workforce and our local community. We are a student population that is minority serving, Hispanic serving, and really focused on many students who are low economic status eligible, Pell Grant eligible. So we're really taking students who maybe didn't think college was an option for them and giving them that experience and then letting them thrive in our workforce.
Right. And so I know you had to do a lot of pivoting during the pandemic. So, in terms of, serving that population, were you engaged in remote learning? Did you have any lessons learned from that in terms of higher ed?
Yeah, I think one thing that is a misperception of higher ed today, and this is across our state and across the country probably, our students are not your Ivy League students. They're not coming from a background where, all of their needs are met. So one of the things I've had to do at Nevada State that became very prevalent during the pandemic was we created a student emergency fund, because we had students who were going to have their electricity turned off because they had lost their job because of the pandemic, but they still were registered for classes and wanted to come to college. So we really focused our energies on helping our students get the basic needs so that they could thrive in the classroom. And so we still to this day have the student emergency fund, even though hopefully we're getting out of this pandemic.
Right.
But we have the student emergency fund. We have a food pantry on campus. We have emergency housing, and we have childcare. And those are the four big barriers to graduation for higher education students in Southern Nevada. We did go completely remote work, remote classes.
Okay.
Had to do a lot of pivoting. And luckily, this semester that we're in now, we're about 70% on campus. So we're starting to see campus thrive again. Students are back. And recognizing that while online is a great substitute, that in-classroom experience is so important.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you're really out of the box creative thinkers at Nevada State College, right? Because most universities either don't have that infrastructure or the ability to be so flexible and meet those demands. And I mean, I think that's great. I mean, I think it's really trend setting as well that you've identified what the barriers to education are and you've addressed those. I also think that it's great that you partner with employers in the state and really are able to develop what they need and help them find the workers and the labor force that they need too. So that's great. So speaking more of you on an individual level, to what do you owe your success?
This is such a great question. And I think sometimes when you're in the midst of everything, you don't think about that often. So I was really grateful to have this moment. I attribute my success to three things: hard work, building and maintaining strong relationships, and a little bit of luck. I know for the role that I'm sitting in right now came because of a text message that I sent. I didn't get the job because of the text message. I got the interview because of the text message. And then I was able to interview to get the job. So building that relationships and maintaining them and keeping them strong has been such a big piece for me to have success. And then put my head down and working as hard as I can.
I think that's great. And that I think that we often underestimate the value of relationships and not just networking, not just handing out business cards, but really developing those relationships and making that a win-win for both parties. So, Women's History Month, that's why this is the passion project I'm doing to highlight some great women I know in our community. So how does the women's history theme resonate with you in your personal and professional life?
It resonates with me for both personal and professional together. And it really comes back to the focus as we're hopefully getting out of the pandemic, I've been so impressed at how people are really starting to talk about mental health. And as someone who has mental health challenges for the bulk of her life, I have been so grateful that people are really sitting and talking about it and are very open about when they're not feeling right. This has been an incredibly hard 2 years for all of us. And I think the best thing that's come out is being able to feel okay to talk about when you're not okay. I don't know that we've done that as well in the past. And so I'm really grateful that the theme is about providing hope to people, because I do think we're mentally all focused and struggling a bit, but there's strength in the ability to have those conversations with each other, to share what works with each other, and to be able to help people when they're just not feeling 100% themselves. So, and that fits personally and professionally for me. You know, I've seen my colleagues struggle and I've seen my friends struggle. And so it's very much blended in both of those pieces of my life. And I'm a huge advocate of being able to feel okay about sharing when you're not okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think it's a very courageous thing to come out and say, because there's still a stigma attached to mental health. But I think, if there's any silver lining to the COVID and the pandemic, I think it's raised awareness in several different areas of the lives that we're living right now. And one of those is mental health. I agree with you. I was very disturbed to see the statistics on the uptick in suicides or suicide attempts and depression during this time. And, a lot of that was based on the isolation, right? And not having the schools, being on the lookout for some of these situations, right? That they normally would fill that role. So I think it's key. And I agree. I hope it continues, and I hope it becomes more mainstream to have these conversations, because I think identifying all that early and making sure that we have the resources and the access to care is critical. So thank you for sharing that. And so as we kind of bring our interview to a close here, I'm a big proponent of believing that we're all role models for each other, including younger women. And so I'm curious, if you had one piece of advice to share with other women, what would that be?
I think that it's really important, and this is based on something that happened to me years ago. Don't assume that the people above you know what your professional and personal goals are. I was at an organization where I thought I would be a shoo-in for a next level position up. I just made the assumption that everyone could see my hard work and see that I was the right person for the job. And then I was never really I was never really asked to even consider the position. So I stopped and I said, what's going on? So I finally asked, and they said, oh, we just never really thought you wanted to do that. Never really thought you were ready. So my advice really is, don't assume that others can see what you want to do and how you want to succeed. And make sure you ask and put yourself at the table so that you're really focused and really ready to be there when you get what you want and you go after what you want. And I think that's just such an important piece for all women, especially women who maybe haven't had to be that assertive in the past. Being able to go out and say, nope, I'm not going to assume that they understand what I'm looking for, and I will go after what I want and make sure that they know I'm ready for this.
Yeah, and I think working in the human resource profession for as long as I have, I think you're spot on there. I think it boils down to, you need to be your own best advocate.
Yeah.
You do, right? Because if they're not having the conversations with you, start the conversation with them.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I mean, that's great, valuable advice. I really appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to do this interview today. I know it's going to inspire other women. And so thank you, Erin, for everything you do for our community.
Thank you for having me.